I didn't argue when she said it. That's the part no one believes later. People expect yelling, doors slamming, something dramatic and unforgettable. But when my mother shouted, "Leech!" loud enough for the neighbors in our quiet suburb outside Columbus, Ohio, to hear, the word didn't explode. It landed flat and heavy, like something that had been circling our house for years and finally found a voice. "You live off us," she screamed. "You contribute nothing. You just sit here draining everything." Then she tossed my bags onto the front porch as if they were the final period at the end of her sentence. "Go leech somewhere else." I stood there for a moment, phone in my hand, listening to my own breathing. My father was in the kitchen. I could hear the television playing in the background. He didn't step outside. He didn't interrupt her. He didn't defend me. And I didn't defend myself. I didn't list the bills I handled. I didn't mention the hours I spent on hold with insurance companies and utility providers. I didn't remind her who sorted out the tax forms, who reset passwords, who untangled every quiet crisis before it became visible. None of it would have mattered. The narrative had already been decided, and I had already been assigned my role. So I picked up my bags and walked away. The first night gone felt strange in small, physical ways. I kept waking up with a sharp panic that I had forgotten something urgent, an overdue payment, a bank notification, an email needing verification. For years, my mind had been wired to manage other people's responsibilities. Silence felt careless at first. Then it felt hollow. Slowly, it began to feel like space. I stayed with my friend Tyler in Raleigh, North Carolina. At the beginning, I didn't tell him the full story. I said we'd had a disagreement. That was easier than explaining how you can live inside a house and still be treated like a background utility, necessary but unnoticed. In the quiet, memories shifted into clearer focus. Not dramatically. Just enough to sting. The way my mom would complain about finances while handing me unopened bank letters to figure out. The way my dad would say, "You're good at this stuff," and never attempt to learn any of it himself. The way everything functioned smoothly when I was there, and how that smoothness erased me. 3 weeks passed. No calls. No apologies. No questions about where I was or whether I was okay. I told myself that silence confirmed everything. I also told myself I didn't care. Both statements were lies, but they were manageable ones. Then my phone rang. My father's name appeared on the screen. I answered. "What's going on?" he asked immediately, skipping any greeting. His voice sounded tight, thinner than usual. "The bank froze our accounts. Everything. Cards, transfers, all of it. We can't access anything." I leaned back against the wall and closed my eyes. "They said something about verification," he continued. "Some compliance issue. We don't even know where to begin. Do you know anything about this?" There it was. Not my name. Not concern for me. Just my function. I pictured the banking emails I used to open without thinking. The two-factor authentication tied to my phone number. The annual identity verification I completed the year before without acknowledgement. None of it had ever seemed significant. It was maintenance, like oiling a machine no one notices until it grinds to a halt. "I don't live there anymore," I said evenly. There was a pause. I could hear him breathing. "Well, can you help us fix it?" he asked. "Your mom is really upset." I thought about her voice echoing across the driveway. "Go leech somewhere else." I didn't argue. I didn't justify myself. After the call ended, I sent him a single text message. "Ask the leech." The response wasn't immediate. When it came, it wasn't calm. Calls followed. Messages stacked up, some angry, some pleading, some trying to soften the past. "She didn't mean it like that. Families say things. This is bigger than feelings." But the bank didn't operate on feelings. From their perspective, it was straightforward. Required verification hadn't been completed. Access credentials were linked to someone no longer authorized or present. Until updated documentation was submitted in person, the accounts would remain frozen. Authority didn't show up screaming. It arrived through automated emails and polite hold music. My parents had to visit the branch themselves. They had to answer questions they had never bothered to understand. Fees accumulated. Payments bounced. Conversations with bank representatives grew awkward quickly. And I did nothing. That was what surprised me most. Not the anger, but the absence of satisfaction. I didn't feel triumphant. I felt tired, and steadier than I had in years. When my mother finally texted me, it wasn't to apologize. It was a frantic accusation. "You did this on purpose." I stared at the message for a long time before replying. "No. I left when you told me to. Everything else happened because I wasn't there." She didn't respond. Weeks later, my father asked if I would come by the house in Charlotte to talk things through. His tone sounded careful, almost rehearsed. I imagined sitting at the same kitchen table, explaining myself to people who had already decided who I was. I said no. That word cost more than I expected. There are days when guilt creeps in, quiet, persistent. Days when I wonder if I should have swallowed my pride, fixed the problem, returned to being useful. But then I remember standing in that driveway with my bags at my feet, being called a leech. And I remember something else. They managed. They struggled, yes, but they learned. The world didn't collapse. Systems were updated. Responsibilities were redistributed. The story shifted, even if no one admitted it out loud. I was never a leech. I was infrastructure. Choosing not to be invisible anymore wasn't revenge. It was clarity. It was definition. Some things cracked when I left. Some things repaired themselves in ways they never would have if I had stayed. That is the consequence. I live with it. And for the first time, it feels like a life that belongs to me.